Welcome back. Today I want to do a product review on a new tool that I picked up here about a month back. This is the Hareline Material Clamp. It comes in 3 different sizes, 2 inch, 1.5 inch, and 1 inch. Its main purpose is for tying materials in a dubbing loop. So taking something from a hide, transferring it to a dubbing loop, and spinning up your loop and going from there. This is a feather, or not a feather, this is a bunny game changer that I was playing around with just a couple of weeks back, well, a couple of days back. You can see the different lengths and everything right there. I haven't really had any time to finish this one up yet. I've been messing around with some other projects and everything, but it allows you to get some different lengths and everything, and you're able to control those lengths a lot easier. There are products out there similar to this. There are the ones that look like a potato chip bag clip that you used to see back in the day. It's just got the spring-loaded top, and then the jaws open up and you can clamp everything. Some of them have tables and all that. I never really saw the need for that. I guess for measuring lengths and everything, if you really want to get specific about it. I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to work with them. I haven't. To be able to give an honest feedback or review on it. But this one right here, I can tell you, I've worked with this one. It makes life a lot easier. The best thing that I've found, and this is mainly for things coming off of a hide, not really loose material, the best use that I've found for it is the rabbit. Taking it off of the strips, transferring it to your loop and everything, it makes things so much easier. If you watched I think it was the articulated version of the mouse that I did a while back, for that last section there, I used just some dubbing, or just some rabbit in a dubbing loop, but I'd manipulated it with my fingers. It's a mess doing that. Trying to keep everything nice and even, it's a pain in the ass, it really is. So these things, they're like a third hand, honestly. It frees a hand up because you have control of all your material, which I'll demonstrate here in a little bit. You have control and everything right here. You're not worried about keeping everything in one place on an even plane or anything. You can set it down off to the side while you're doing something else. It just makes things a lot easier to work with. Another aspect that I really like, or another application I should say that I really like this for, is your D&Ds. Not so much on the back hook. Really, it's the last wrap on the D&D that sometimes, especially if you're working on the TP650s with the 26-degree bend and everything, sometimes you get a little bit too close to that bend, and if you still have that rabbit hair or that rabbit fur on the hide, that hide can build some extra bulk. With this, like I'll show here in a minute, it eliminates all of that hide. The only thing that you have is your hair and your thread. Eliminates all of the bulk. You can make consecutive wraps, one in front of the other, with 1/10 of the bulk, or of the build, from that hide there. It cleans the front end of that fly up so much, and it makes it so much easier to set and stack your collars. It really makes a big difference, and I highly recommend it. Let me see, what else do I want to touch on? This material, or this tool right here, it's pretty stout. It's a solid, basically just a piece of metal there, and then you have your serrated teeth. I don't know if it'll show up too well in the picture. I may be able to zoom in on that and show you. It's got like your serrated edges and everything, so it's not real slick in there. Once this stuff grabs onto some material, it's really locked in place. I'm going to take a hook out here, and I'm just going to give a quick demo on this, just so you guys kind of get the idea of what we're doing with these things here. This is just a size 6 streamer hook. I'm just going to get a couple of thread wraps, and I'm going to go through these steps of getting this in place. There we go. That's pretty solid. So I'm just going to build up a quick thread base on this. Yeah, right about there will work. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to form a short dubbing loop. Run that close to the back. And run that to the front. So now I'm going to grab my clamp. Get that in the cradle. I'm going to grab my clamp and I'm going to grab, this is just some orange and yellow little Fire Tiger bunny strip. So you can see the direction that this hair is naturally going. It's going to my left, or as it would be oriented on the hook, it's going to the bend of the hook. That's the way that I want to hold this stuff. I'm going to grab right here, and then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to force that the length of that clamp, giving me about 2 inches of material to work with. So you can see I have that locked in place. Everything's clean as it sits. And then I just take this and I trim this hide, or I trim that hair right next to the hide, giving me the length that I want. And you can see I've got a good length of clean material to work with. So now I'm just going to manipulate this out, give myself a little bit more, let me get that back in frame, give myself a little bit more to grab onto with my dubbing loop right there. I'm not really worrying about straightening this out just yet. I can do that once I have it in here. And then depending on the length that you want, you know, I'm going to use essentially the full amount on this. But if I wanted to use a little bit less, like say I was doing the back end of that game, or that bunny changer right there, I would have just cut a little bit more off of that and then set that into place prior to putting that in. That would shorten my length out slightly. So I'm just going to set this in. Yep. Didn't like how that was going. Didn't like how that was going. Open this loop back up here. Alright. I'll let that fall on me there. Anyhow, I won't worry about that. I'll just keep going with this. So like I said, I'm just going to set this in. And then now that I have this in place, if I hadn't screwed up there, it would be a little bit easier to manipulate this. But I can just move this to the length that I want it. I can get the consistency that I'm after. Just kind of push that stuff through and then make it nice and even. If I can get it to twist right. Make that nice and even. I have barely any bulk on the left hand side of this, and I have all my usable material on the right. I'm just going to tie or pinch that right there. I'm going to give that a quick spin. And then all of that material winds up being usable for me. One thing that I found on this, especially with the rabbit hair, you want to make this stuff a little bit tighter than what you typically do, like with a straight dubbing loop or whatever it is. I got a little bit extra length right there. So I'm just going to work this right to where my material starts. And then I'm just working this right around. I make one wrap, I peel everything back. Make another wrap, peel everything back. If you want to, you can go ahead and wet your fingers. That'll keep that material out of your way a little bit. Won't trap as much, if any. And then same thing, you just wind up working that all the way to the front if you're doing these wraps. Like I was saying before on the D&D, you can do subsequent wraps essentially right on top of one another, and you're going to build zero bulk, but you're still going to have all of the length of that feather, if not more than what you would have had with it on the hide. Get that out of the way there, and you can see that we have a nice clean build. Get out of there. We have a nice clean build of rabbit fur going all the way back, and it just makes like a nice clean collar, or whatever application you're using it for. I've got a new sculpin pattern out that I use it essentially the same way as I do on the articulated mouse. I want the flesh colored portion of the rabbit hair on the bottom, so it sits down beneath, and then the top portion I stack with some marabou. I'll have that video out here probably within the next month or so. I still have a couple that I want to get to prior to doing that one, but I'll have that video out. There's probably going to be a series on that. It's probably going to be 5 or 6 different variations on that sculpin pattern that I have. But like I said, I'll get the initial one of those out here in the next month probably. But back to what I was saying with this, prior to going on that little run there, if you were to have the same amount of hair right here as you would with having it on the hide, there is so much less bulk here. Like, you could pinch this and you can feel where that hook shank is. If you had the hide, you'd have a lot more bulk and everything. Like I was saying, the big application for that's on the Tommy Lynch's D&D right up there in the front. It really cuts down on that bulk you get. These things aren't limited to rabbit hair. It's just one of my favorite applications that I've found for it so far. Also really good for Arctic fox. If you're building some collars and everything out of that, makes it a little bit easier. If you throw that in a loop, it makes a really nice fox collar. Deer hair, you can definitely do that. I originally saw these and thought that I was going to be able to replace the marabou brush that I came up with a little while back. There's no replacing it. I don't quite get the bulk that I want or the color differential between 2 different stacks or 2 different plumes. So I don't know that there's going to be any replacing the brush. But this right here definitely opens up a lot of other avenues. Like if you're looking at Charlie Craven's, what the heck's the name of his streamer, the Gonga, the baby Gonga, to where he uses, you can use craft fur, you can use, I can't remember exactly what he uses, if it's pseudo hair or whatever it is. He throws it in a loop and he forms the head from that, from the butt ends of whatever material that he's using. This makes it so much easier to manipulate. Mike's pecs, when you're doing the rabbit hair head, this tool makes it a lot easier to work with. Overall, it's just a very good, useful tool that cleans up some of your collar work, and it makes your dubbing loops a lot easier to work with on materials that you're taking off of a hide and transferring to a dubbing loop. It just makes it a lot easier and a lot cleaner to work with. Full disclosure on this, I am not being paid by anybody to review any products or anything. There's just some things that I go through, some tools that I'll get in, some things that I pick up over the time, and I figured I'd share it with everybody else. It may be something that'll be applicable to your time. I just want to let everybody know that I'm not getting paid on anything. I'm not pushing a certain product or anything. These are just things that I pick up over time, and I'm sharing them as I go along. But I think that's everything that I wanted to touch on this one. I'm going to have, let me see, I got a couple of new products that I'll be going through, doing some reviews on here in the next couple of weeks. If you guys have anything out there that you would like me to do a review on, just give me a heads up. I'll pick it up, I'll work with it for a little bit. I'll give you some honest feedback and let you know what I think of it. But outside of that, guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and watch these videos with me. It's been a lot of fun doing them over the years. Looking forward to continue doing them. and see where things go from here. Got a couple new ideas potentially for the spring and summer coming up in 21. We'll see how things go. But you know, we're open to a bunch of different ideas and everything. We've got some new things coming up that we're going to try to get into on the videos this year. But enough rambling. Like I said, thanks always for watching. I really appreciate it. We'll catch you next Wednesday. We're gonna have a good one coming up for you. It's gonna be, make sure you got a couple beers ready for what would that be, the first Wednesday in the new year. I know it's not gonna make sense, you're watching this a year from now, but the first Wednesday in 21, make sure that you got a couple beers ready. We're gonna have quite the video coming up, so looking forward to doing that one. But thanks as always, guys. We'll catch you on the next fly.